Hello folks, YouTubers. Thought I'd make this video. Hopefully it won't be too long, but I'm gonna try and keep it short. I'm working on this Maytag, what is it, commercial technology. I think there's another name for it. But what I was doing, it wasn't agitating and there was still water in the tub. So I took it all apart. I've been working on it for about an hour or two. Took out the tub, took out the inner tub, the outer tub. They're all over here. My wife washed everything because there was this foul odor coming from this tub. There seems to be like some mold and mildew that builds up in that very bottom section that goes to the pump. This whole area, and it just creates this foul odor. And you're supposed to just wash them with this little stuff you put in there, and my wife has done that, so that's why it's not as bad as others I've seen. But anyway, so the problem, there's videos on YouTube, but nobody really addresses the actual cause. And there's a lot of repair shops out there and everything where they're just part changers basically. They don't really want to spend too much time troubleshooting. They just swap out parts and charge the customer however much. These guys are outrageous. They're worse than mechanics. No offense to anyone. But this seems to be a real common issue, is the gearbox or the gear drive mechanism that drives everything inside this machine. There's a motor. I took off the harness. I took off the capacitor, the starting capacitor, and then this mechanism that goes, that's your ratchet drive for your agitator. Everything looked good on this gearbox, this transmission, as I disassembled it. And it's relatively easy for somebody who's got a few tools, and wants to tinker with this shit. If not, just go buy a new one, or spend a lot of money on having a repair guy come out and take a look. He'll more than likely be a parts changer also, and he's going to charge you an arm and leg, which a lot of times it's better to just buy a new machine. But if you have some do-it-yourself skills, this transmission part here that's driven by the ratchet mechanism that goes back here, that moves the agitator, the motor, and then there's a belt drive. They're down here. That little cover and the pulley all go here. But anyway, so I took all that off, and then come to find out, this transmission is not broken. It was just merely seized up. And that's a real common problem. These things seize up. There's an outer shaft right here and an inner shaft that goes in here, and it goes all the way through. So this inner shaft is the one that moves the agitator. This outer one is the one that moves the tub, the whole metal tub inside the machine, the metal one. This one's fixed in there and it's suspended with some cables and hooks and stuff. But this one spins also when you do the spin cycle, and then the agitator, sorry, that piece in the middle, it's different. It's just one piece. That a lot of agitators are two-piece, where there's some mechanisms in here in the center column that allow it to ratchet back and forth. This one doesn't have anything there. This is all just one piece. The ratchet mechanism is this, and it's attached to this transmission right here, and it snaps into these grooves. It's real easy to disassemble, but I've checked all the teeth. Everything looks good. All the ratcheting looks good. The only thing that was up with this thing was that the inner shaft was corroded in there. Somehow moisture and water get down in there to the point where this inner shaft will not rotate anymore inside of this outer one. And I think there's a seal and a bearing down in here that allow it to do that. Let me show you. So what I ended up doing, it's pretty straightforward. I used a lot of this stuff, this blaster penetrating it's kind of like WD-40. It frees up rusted components and whatnot. So I shot some of that right there around the shaft. And then I took these two sets of pliers here, these two channel locks. I held the shaft, the outer shaft down here from the bottom, just to kind of hold it. Okay, and then with my other hand, I use this other one up here, just gently without messing up those splines. And then I just kind of like went back and forth with both hands, you know, just kind of like wiggling it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it finally freed up the inner shaft to where the inner shaft now rotates. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. So this inner shaft now rotates freely inside the outer one, and you can tell it goes all the way towards the back. You can see where the back is rotating, the inner shaft, and then the outer shaft is this other one, and it rotates also, and it turns this gear back here that's where the pulley goes. So essentially you can spend, this transmission is like $260 in some areas, and they range anywhere from 150 to 300 bucks. And a lot of mechanics will come out and want to change out your whole transmission gearbox, when essentially you don't need to. You just need to free it up. If your machine is not agitating, that's what it is. It's seized up right there. And then so what I did was I put the bolt that goes in here, and then with my handy dandy screwdriver or little impact driver, I was able to just spin it, give it a whirl like this, and then with some oil in there, and I just kind of spun it, just so that it would free up and get all that lubricant oil down in there. I used that little oil gun right there, just shot some oil up in here, and that's all it is. I don't have to spend 180 or 200 bucks on a new transmission when this one was just seized up. And there's no videos out there that explain this. They don't explain this. All they do is change out parts, like I said, and that's kind of what they do at most shops. Guys don't really know how to fix stuff. They just know how to change parts. But anyways, they'll do that to your car too. But just as information, you know, this Mexican, I mean, when we can, I'm a Mexican, so that's all it is, man. Don't let the world close in on you, and save some money. Do it yourself. Now I'm just gotta reassemble everything. This thing's working now, and it should agitate once I put it all back in the machine and everything's reassembled. I was at the verge of just giving up this morning and just saying, you know what, screw this, screw Maytag. Made in Mexico now, I think, or made in China, or made somewhere. They're not Maytag like they used to be. But anyways, I was at the verge of just going down to Lowe's and getting a new machine. But I figured I had a few hours to kill, so I'm not going anywhere today. And I started playing with this, tinkering with it, and yeah, that's all it is. Save myself 700 bucks on a new machine, or another 400 or 500 bucks if I had called someone. So this is gonna get all back together, and then should be working fine. All right, talk to you soon. Later. Like and subscribe, please. There it is, folks. It's working as intended. This agitator turns nice, and the tub's turning, and it's just washing like it's supposed to, draining and everything. So you can hear it. And that's it. Talk to you soon. Hit me up for some comments.